Do you know that you can be rich but poor? Do you know that you can be rich in terms of your total asset or net worth, but poor in terms of your ability to settle your liabilities when they fall due? In this video, I'll let you know what it means to be rich but poor and tell you how you can get out of that. My name is James and you're watching Self-Made Finance. Welcome back to Self-Made Finance, where we teach you to be your own finance manager. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the notification bell so that anytime we drop a video, you can have it. So let's go straight into what we're talking about today. We're talking about how to be rich but poor. You know, there are situations where you are rich in terms of what you have, in terms of your asset, in terms of your net worth. You know, you have a lot in terms of, your possessions, but poor in terms of your ability to settle your liabilities when they fall due. For example, when something happens right now, you're supposed to be rushed to the hospital. Do you have money to do that? So you could have money, stacked in fixed assets. That means that you're very rich. But when it comes to these things like settling your bills, paying your rent, and things that are due immediately, you struggle to do that. And that's what I mean by being rich but poor. And this is what I'm talking about, liquidity. This is something that is very key in our lives. In whatever investment you're doing, you need to think about liquidity first. And liquidity means your ability to settle your liabilities, especially the short-term ones when they fall due. So I am somebody who loves investment. I am somebody who advocates that we need to invest, especially when it comes to long-term investment. But before you invest, you need to think about liquidity first. You need to think about how you can settle your short-term liabilities, your debt and bills and things that are due immediately before you think about investing in the long term. So that's what I'm talking about here. So now, to make things very clear here, I just want to present somebody's financial situation as a case study for us to really understand what I'm talking about when I say you can be rich but poor. There's a man that is worth $1 million, So, let me even bring it to cities. That's worth 1 million cities, But out of that 1 million Ghana cities, about 99% is stacked into real estate. And in that situation, it's very difficult for the person to liquidate any of these, assets when there is the need for the person to do so. So it means that only 1% is not into fixed assets. So it means that even though the person is very rich, because if you have 1 million Ghana cedis, you're good to go. But if it is only 1% that is into maybe liquid assets or something that you can easily convert into cash, then it's a problem. If something happens, then the need for you to, pay cash, you're going to be in trouble. So this is what I'm talking about. Even though it is very, very important for you to invest, when you're doing so, make sure that you go into various forms of asset or classes of assets so that at every point in time, when there's a need for you to liquidate any of them for you to take care of whatever problem you have, you will be able to do that easily. But if you have everything stacked into fixed asset, like the case study that I'm just talking about, then there's going to be a problem for you. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that you can be rich but poor. So now, how do we get out of this situation where we are rich but poor, where we have all our investments stacked into fixed asset? How do we get out of that? The first thing that you need to know or you need to do is that think of, when you're thinking about the future, know that tomorrow can be a future. Know that even an hour from now is a future. So when you're thinking about your future, when you're planning your investment for the future, you have this at the back of your mind, because anything can happen in the next hour, in the next 2 days, in the next 3 days. So think about that whenever you're investing your money. So invest your money so that when something happens tomorrow, you can still have funds to take care of that. When something happens in the next hour, you can have funds to take care of that. Because if you only think about the future as years to come, then you're going to plan your investment based on that. And if something happens tomorrow, you're going to be in trouble. So know that tomorrow can be a future. An hour from now can be a future. So plan your investment with this mindset. Secondly, invest into different classes of assets. When you go back to my videos, I've spoken about classes of assets. you know, when I was talking about risk and investment. So when you go back, you can learn that. So what I'm trying to say is that don't invest into one particular form or class of asset. You know, there are assets that needs time to mature to give you the required return that you need, and this one means that you need to invest it over a long period of time. There are assets that are short-term in nature. There are assets that are easily being converted to cash, you know. So you have to invest into all different classes of assets so that at every point in time, when there's a need for you to convert any of them to cash, to take care of an emergency or something, you can do that. So anytime you want to invest, don't fix yourself into just one form of asset. Just look at different forms of asset or classes of asset so that you can always be rounded when it comes to your ability to have access to cash or your ability to have access to funds to take care of your emergencies or your financial needs. That's the second thing that I want to talk about. Thirdly, anytime you are investing, think about both short-term and long-term. There are people who always think about just short-term. In that case, you can't always get good returns because good returns are always in assets or investment that are long-term in nature. On the other hand, there are people who are also always thinking about long-term alone. In that case, liquidity is going to be a problem for you. So when you're investing, think about both short-term and long-term so that you can have the benefit of having good returns as well as being liquid, you know. So think about short-term and long-term whenever you invest in your money. Finally, to get yourself out of this situation, you need to face the reality of emergencies. You need to know that that's the reality of life. Emergencies do happen at any point in time. Emergencies can happen without you imagining it, without you thinking about it. It can happen at any time. So always face that reality whenever you're planning your investment or planning your money. You know that emergencies can happen today, it can happen tomorrow. So always plan your investment. Share that when emergencies happen, you can think of that. There are people who believe that, you know, I'm prayerful, I believe, have faith, and I believe that, you know, nothing is going to happen to me. But the reality of life is that irrespective of who you are, emergencies can happen and there's a need for you to attend to them financially. So face the reality of emergencies so that you can plan towards that, so that you don't put all your investment into fixed assets that are very difficult to liquidate. And even if you are able to, you know, liquidate those investments, they come at a cost. You're going to lose a lot. So always face that reality so that you plan your investment in that regard. So now you see, you can be rich but poor. You can be rich in terms of assets. You can be rich in terms of total net worth, but poor in terms of your ability to settle your liabilities, to take care of your emergencies, to take care of your finances, or to take care of your expenses. You know, so there's a need for us to look at this situation and try as much as we can to avoid them. Thank you so much for watching this video.